Okay, I got good news, bad news, worse news, pasta news, and rutabaga news. So which one do you want to hear first? I can't hear what you said, so let's just start off with the worst news. There's no One Piece chapter this week, so that's kind of a downer. The bad news is I got fired from my new job being Defender of Hyrule, mostly because I didn't defend Hyrule. The good news is, though, I did get accepted into the Black Bulls! That's right! They actually accepted my application! I never thought in a million years that was gonna happen. Starting from this day forward, I am no longer a pirate or a knight. I am merely a humble mage working his way in the world. As for the pasta news, I made lasagna last night, and the rutabaga news is I figured out what a rutabaga was, so maybe I can incorporate that someday. I think I'm gonna go kind of like what Charmy does. You know, she has the cotton magic, but she incorporates it to make food, so maybe I'll do that. I'll become like a chef mage or something. I don't even need to be participating in battles, because I'm kind of flimsy. I could just kind of be like the chef and make food for everybody, and they can go out and fight all the tough battles for me. Alright, so this is going to... Oh, crap, I actually caught that. This is going to be Black Clover Chapter 186 review, titled The Eye in the Mirror. Yeah, since there's no One Piece this week, I posted on my Twitter, like, what chapter should I review? My Hero, Black Clover, Dr. Stone, or Haikyuu. Haikyuu was kind of a joke entry because I never read a single chapter of it. I mean, I hear great things. I know it ranks really high in, you know, most polls and everything. I'm just not into sports manga. Maybe someday I'll give it a shot. My Hero actually ended up winning the poll, but I really shouldn't have left it on there because I wanted to talk about maybe something a little different, and I usually talk about My Hero on the channel. So, you know, let's do something different. I have all this Black Clover swag, so let's talk about that. All right, this is a relatively short chapter, too, so it shouldn't take very long. Sorry, I can't use panels, but you know how that usually goes. I'm not gonna risk it, even though it's a different series. Okay, so, little disappointed that we're actually cutting back to the regular battlefield now. We're not in the glamour world anymore, with, you know, the captain of the Coral Peacocks, you know, Dorothy and everything, and I thought, oh, okay, this was gonna be a fun chapter review, but no, we cut back to the, actual battlefield to see what's going on there, so there's a necessary, you have to go back in time a little bit. The Black Bull base is being demolished after the combination attack by the elves. Everybody's falling down, like, holy crap, what are we gonna do? And, it seems Gray and Gordon are getting along. They seem to have a collaboration effort going, and they know what to do, so they're like, you need to do it, Gordon, and Gordon's like, on it. Gordon, by the way, he might become one of the MVPs for this chapter. Probably not from what we're gonna see Asta doing, but still, pretty cool, because Gordon is like, yeah, let's do this, I'm here, I'm finally in a battle, I'm finally doing stuff. Okay, so he decides to save all of his companions by creating a giant deadly fog of poison that completely eradicates anything that it touches. Way to go, Gordon, you're gonna save the day. Of course, everybody starts freaking out, like, what the hell are you doing? You're creating a cloud of toxic death for us to fall in? Like, it's like, it'll be for the best, guys. At least we'll go out quick. It'll be over just like that. It's like, are we giving up? No, because what Gray can do is transform the poison into another type of magic with her transformation powers. So she transforms the deadly toxic cloud of imminent death into a happy, puffy cotton ball. So everybody just lands on it, and everyone's happy. At least for the moment, there's still some issues to deal with. The first issue is, Henry doesn't really have much mana left, so therefore the Black Bull base charging in all Megazord Kaiju battle, probably not gonna be able to do that anymore. And with Charmy being in the glamour world right now, kind of, you know, separated from everybody else, along with Vanessa, you know, they can't really, recover their mana, so they're like, alright, we kind of have to work with what we have. Even Zax is kind of pushed up against a wall here, and he's like, oh crap, I don't have much mana left, so he's like, yeah, we're kind of up. It kind of reminds me of the scene in Bleach. Remember when Kenpachi was fighting Noitara, and like Kenpachi's being Kenpachi and having a good old-fashioned slash fest, but then after he gets cut up by Noitara for like the 75th time, he kind of like stops where he's at, and Kenpachi kind of grabs his neck, and there's like, he's bleeding everywhere, and he's like, oh crap, if I actually, okay, slashing and, you know, dicing, that's a lot of fun, but if I keep this up, I'm probably am gonna die. Zax is kind of getting to that point too, where he's like, yeah, everything's crazy, but, man, I'm kind of running low on my tank, too. Noelle's even in a worse position because the badass armor she had finally ran out of steam. She ran out of fuel for that, and she's not used to really wielding the armor to begin with or wearing it, so she can't really maintain it for too long. I was expecting that to go down in a way worse position, though. I was expecting her to, like, charge at Leaked or one of the elves and be like, I will take you out! And then the armor just crap, and then it finally like falls apart at the worst possible time. So it's not a great time for her armor to, leave her, but she'll probably be able to pull it back at some point. Maybe she gets better control over it. There's going to be probably a time limit imposed and all that noise. Leaked decides to leave. He goes into the shadow dimension. He leaves everything to Gauche, who is of course now Droit the elf, as well as his sister Marie, who is, I wrote him down just so I wouldn't forget, Ekra is Marie. So he's like, yeah, leave him to me. I'll take care of it. The shadow portal's still open. You have Vados and Radius that use their powers. And Vados has the portal magic. They go in after them. And then eventually Yami and Jack go in as well. Alright, we're gonna kind of just separate. Here's our different factions. We got a faction in the glamour world. We got a faction in the real world that's currently fighting against the elves. That'll be Asta and Noel and Zax and everybody against Droit and Ekra. And then we have the third group that's going to the shadow dimension following after Leet, as well as the other elves, right? So that we have Vados and Radius and then Yami and then Jack. Now, even though everyone's kind of beaten up here and Yami and Jack aren't looking great either, Yami sees all of his subordinates and they're getting pretty low on mana and stamina. Can't really do much about that, but what he can do is raise the morale. So Yami, before he jumps in with Jack, he's just like, you guys could still fight, can't you? Get up! Push past your limits! Plus ultra! I'm sorry, that's the wrong manga. You guys don't freaking die. I better come back here. I better see you all still alive. If I see anybody lying in the ground in their own blood, you're all not getting any dinner tonight. Out! And so Yami and Jack jump in the portal. Yami refers to him as Slender Man, which is always funny, and then they just jump away because they gotta go after Leaked. They can stick around and fight against Gauche and everything, but they gotta get moving as well. So I don't fault anybody for leaving, like even Yami or Jack not helping that group out, because this is more important right now, and that's the whole situation, right? So yeah, they're low on mana, they're low on stamina, they're injured, but they got their morale boosted a bit, so they're like, oh hell yeah, Captain, we're gonna do this. So they get all back up and they face down Gauche. Now the thing is with Gauche's magic, the mirror magic, it really doesn't change all that much, or really at all. It just gets way more buffed to the point where he can summon way more mirrors, he can shoot way more lasers at him, like times 20, refract, refrain, whatever. Now, as for Ekra, who is Marie, we find out their powers in this chapter, and it's eye magic. So, what they do is a combination move that they probably did in the old days all the time, combining Droit's mirrors with Ekra's eyes, making Iris reflect. And the eye magic basically causes a paralysis effect and negates anyone's magic. So, as long as you're actually staring at the eyes of Ekra, you can't use your magic and you can't even move. That combined with the mirror magic, and I think you could see where we're going from here. So, all the mirrors appear everywhere, right in front of all the black bulls, and they see Ekra's eyes, and they freeze up, and they can't move. Little side note here, we all know Gauche has the magic mirror eye, so I'm wondering if that ties back into something there, because they're brother and sister. She has the eye magic, Gauche has the mirror magic, but he also has a magic eye, so don't know exactly the story there. Keep in mind, by the way, I'm reading Black Clover, I've read every chapter, but here's the thing, I've read a lot of chapters only like once, so if I'm forgetting something, one or two things, if it was ever mentioned, like Gauche's eye is an implant or something, I apologize. I'm not obviously as an expert on that as like One Piece, but we are going to start doing a discussion series on all the Black Bulls. That'll be coming up by the end of this month. We're going to get started with Magna, actually. That's going to be our first discussion video, and we're going to start a whole new series with that, so just bear with me as I do this. But I don't believe it was ever really established why he has a mirror eye, if he did that to himself, if it was an implant from somebody else, or if he was born with it. But hey, there's a connection now, right? So, Droid's basically just up there like, I have invincible magic with our powers combined, me and my sister, we can basically lock out all your movements, you can't use your magic, blah, blah, blah. So, Asta takes exception to this just a little bit, and the demon aura just erupts off of him, and he just, I'm free now, and he manages to influence all the other mirrors, he negates them, and everybody can move now. Also, I'm not sure, what's the term for the dark devil aura dude? Does it have a name? Is it like Devil Asta, or Evil Asta, or Shadow Asta? What's the general consensus for the name there? Because I know we haven't gotten a name for the demon itself yet. Have you even has a name. I mean, Astatoff or something, like Astatoff and Asta. Best buddies till the end of time. But yeah, he freaks out, he uses that, and in combination with his spiffy new Demon Ruin sword, which we get a name for that in this chapter, although there were some translations of it, Manga Stream, for instance, that named it the Demon Slayer sword, which was incorrect because it's the name. It really confused me when I first read it on Manga Stream, because the Demon Slayer sword was the first sword Asta ever got in the first chapter of Black Clover, and then later on he gets the Demon Dweller sword from the dungeon, which I think he doesn't have right now. I think Leek took that one, and then Leek gave him the new sword, which I believe was just named in this chapter, the Demon Ruin sword, or the Sword of the Demon's Ruin, something like that. Demon Slayer sword can negate magic, it's the anti-magic sword and can bounce it back. Demon Dweller sword can absorb magic and shoot it out, and then the Demon Ruin sword can pretty much, I think it's just a way stronger version of the first one, because it can negate even the reincarnation magic. So that's what this has. But okay, it's really cool and pretty simple to replicate with poster boards, so that's a plus as well. Also, I like my little ice cream decal. Anyway, so he activates that, he frees everybody from the mirrors, Ghost, Droid, whoever, launches a bunch of reflect refrain lasers at everybody, and all the Black Bulls kind of work together. They scrap together enough magic in order to reflect it in a variety of ways. Gray uses her transformation powers to create more mirrors, so that was really clever. So lasers are coming at her, she can just make more mirrors, lasers bounce off. Gordon creates that forbidden fruit spell, just a glob of poison. The light hits it, it kind of gets absorbed, and then it gets refracted. Kind of the same thing with Sally's gel, whenever they shot a laser at that and it hit the salamander and it refracted off. It kind of does that, where the poison absorbs the blast and then it kind of redirects the lasers. Henry just creates a wall using his powers, and we don't actually, I don't think we saw Zax or Noel what they did. They might have just kind of jumped out of the way, or you can always use Zax's trap magic, maybe something to negate the laser or redirect it or something. And then you have Asta, who jumps into the fray using his Demon Slayer sword, and he just bats it right back at Ghosh. Ghosh avoids it, steps to the side. He gets cut, I think, a little bit. And so the chapter ends. That's it. That's pretty much the end of the chapter. Like I said, this was pretty quick, which is great for my first outing here. Not too much to dump on my plate at once. But the chapter ends with all the Black Bulls basically just looking on at Droid and realizing, okay, that was great. We were able to do all that and redirect his spell, but we're still pretty weak here, and he's got way more in the tank. But they all look on at Droid, and they're remembering Ghosh, and they're like, when Ghosh comes back, he's gonna have that really, that poison tongue. He's gonna spout curses at everybody, and he's gonna do nothing but blab on about Marie and show pictures of him, the freaking lolicon that he is, and everyone's just like, man, he's really annoying to be around, but you know what? We're gonna fight to the freaking death to get him back. And in the one translated version, and this is applicable to me, they even shout up to Droid, even if dealing with him was a total cringe fest, we will bring him back, or it'll be the death of us. And then the last scene of the chapter is just Droid, Ghosh, whoever, just stating, yeah, we're going to use that combination spell now, Ekra. And he looks down, it's like, it's time to use that. So a pretty standard, cliffhanger for most shonen, well, I see you are good at fighting back against my spells. I guess it's time we use that. Gotta play the ambiguity pronoun game here, right? Okay, so what that will be, I don't know. Hey, if we're doing eye magic now with Ekra, who's Marie, why don't we just throw in the mirror eye as well? Or maybe he can make both of his eyes mirrors or something like that. Or they could do a fusion spell, considering Ghosh's relationship to his sister. I mean, it wouldn't screw me up if they could combine in some way. Are they gonna do some kind of fusion dance thing here or something? I don't know. I mean, considering Ghosh's affinity for his sister, that wouldn't surprise me if it was something like that. I do think we're gonna keep with this fight, though, for at least the next chapter at the minimum. We had 2 chapters in the Glamour world. Yeah, we have a lot of heavy hitters going to the Shadow Realm right now, but for right now, I think we should stick with this, also considering it was a relatively short chapter. And, yeah, so there's probably... But the problem with Droid's powers is they're extremely long range. So while Asta does have the sword that can just end the spell right then and there. First off, he's got 2 targets, and they're both long range, and one of which has a spell that can literally paralyze you just by looking directly at her. So this is going to be a tough fight. I don't think it'll get done in the very next chapter. They're going to break out some big high-octane spell, and there's probably going to be a few people that might get taken down next chapter, like maybe Gordon or Gray. They're going to get knocked down, and then maybe Zax and Noelle have to stand back up, and they have to push something together in order to make this work. And then maybe the next chapter, maybe like at the end of next chapter, we'll get like, the finishing blow, and then we'll see after that if it works or not. But yeah, we're most likely going to get Ghosh back pretty soon. Maybe learning a little bit more about the backstory between Droit and Ekra. Once again, I don't think we learned about that really in too much detail. Maybe we did, don't remember. But if that's the case, we can learn some about that there. And if not, and I'm completely wrong here, then we could just move forward. So yeah, that's Black Clover 186. It's a work in progress. There are a few gaps here, but I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I hope you are excited for the new discussion series. I already decided the order for it through the use of a D12, actually, because there's 13 members of Black Clover if you include Yami. I think I'm gonna do the captains in maybe another series, but for right now, we're just doing the members of the guilds. That's 12. With Henry being the newest member. So wait and just hold off for that. It's probably going to be maybe a few weeks or so. I'm going to try to get it done by the end of December, though. But it'll be a fun little project. We're going to add Black Clover to the channel's repertoire. So you guys have a good night. Let me know on all the things I got wrong, as I'm sure you will. Have a great one, everybody. Tekking signing out. I broke the Demon Ruin Sword!